This is going to be your guide to laning in Pokemon Unite. So shortly, I'm going to get into the game, I'm going to explain what a lane is, how to get into lane, and then break down the differences between the top side of the map and the bottom side of the map. So if you're kind of confused on terms, you're trying to figure out exactly what's going on, don't worry, it will be explained. But the first thing I want to do is break down Pokemon that can go into a side lane and their optimal lanes. Because some Pokemon, they want to go into the middle path, which is known as the jungle. I'm going to be doing a separate guide on that, so like, comment, subscribe, notification bell, check out the playlist, keep up to date with all of the guides I'm putting out for Pokemon Unite. Also consider sharing them with all of your friends. But yeah, some Pokemon, they want to go into the center and then get tons of experience. Other Pokemon, they go into the side lanes, they also collect experience, they collect Pokeballs, they KO the wild natural spawning Pokemon, and that's where things get pretty crazy. So overall, pretty much any Pokemon can lane, and Pokemon that are typically seen as junglers like Lucario can be very strong in lane. That level 5 power spike on Lucario can just take over and start winning 1v2 or 2v2 fights pretty easily. Cramorant is a Pokemon that has an AoE ability that does an insane amount of damage. So Cramorant is also really good at laning since it can take over just a lot of space and do a lot of damage to secure the neutral creeps. That's going to be a big focus on laning. But yeah, for the most part, almost any Pokemon can. The real point of laning in this game is to get experience more than scoring points. That way you get into your levels, you get into your ability unlocks, you get into your evolutions, and then your Unite move, and that's where the game starts to open up and get pretty crazy. But really, like, Talonflame seems like the weakest laner, Absol probably better off in the jungle, and then some Pokemon they can struggle in lane because it takes them a while to turn on. But other than that, yeah, every Pokemon can just kind of like chill in lane. If you want to main a Pokemon or really focus on using a certain Pokemon, try to experiment with what works for you and what time you're good in lane and what time you're vulnerable in lane, and then eventually you can just kind of make every Pokemon work. As for bot versus top side, I don't really think that the meta has established enough towards like, oh, these two Pokemon are, you know, you need a tank with a carry Pokemon in the top lane, and then you absolutely need a support and then some kind of attacking Pokemon in the bottom lane. I don't believe in that philosophy at this stage of the game. Also, this is more of an introduction into laning to just kind of give people knowledge so they don't feel like they're losing the game within the first couple of minutes because they have some of their Pokemon stolen from them or they just give up unnecessary deaths. I just want to kind of explain ways to optimize the lane and ways to play around it. That way everyone just gets better and eventually you grow into your Pokemon, you grow into your playstyle, you understand your strengths and weaknesses. That's really what the game is going to be about. So let's hop into a game and start breaking down laning. Now, at the beginning of the game, your objective is to KO these Apom as fast as possible. There's 4 on the way to the middle of the stage, and normally you're going to have at least one other person with you. The typical lane assignment is 2 people top, 1 person in the jungle, and then 2 people in the bot lane, but that doesn't mean you can't optimize things, so don't be lazy on the way to lane. That if you clear more efficiently, that means you're going to get to lane faster and have an advantage. For example, Snorlax can double leash these Apom right here, so that can work really well with trying to take as fast as possible, and it will help speed up your ally getting into lane as well. Now, Cramorant is the example of another Pokemon that has a pretty crazy laning setup, because if you set the Whirlpool just right, you can take the camps incredibly quickly. Now, we're going to talk about splitting experience with your ally once we get a little deeper. As it stands right now, I just want to go over the timings and what you're supposed to do. So once you make it to lane, after 20 seconds, these Pokemon will spawn. You have an Apom over here, Apom up top, Corphish in the center. This is the main objective. This is what you're going to be fighting over in the early laning. And then the enemies are going to have their Apom to try to take as well. And this is where the game can get weird, even in lower levels of play, because some strategies involve just kind of like ganging up on this Apom right here, trying to take it, and then fighting over the Corphish. Other people, they understand this, and they want to rush for the Corphish, and then depending on also the Pokemon that you're playing in lane, you might try to rush into their Apom to try to steal it. Because that's a huge thing in this game, is stealing Pokemon away, and you have to be aware of that. You have to be aware that you have an opportunity to steal an Apom, and that could put you massively up in experience, but also they want to be stealing it from you as well, and then that top Apom sometimes just gets left alone, because all the action is going to be over this Corphish and the other Apom. However, an alternative strategy, again, the meta is still developing, there's like a lot of weird optimizations. An alternative strategy is trying to take or even ignoring this Apom, and then while they're going for the Corphish and the Apom over there, you can try to steal this one away, and then you can get 3 Apom, which, since this Apom is worth 5 Pokeballs, it has a lot of experience behind it. So if you do the math, you're getting this Apom, which has more value than the Corphish, your top left Apom, and then the bottom left Apom, and then they're only getting 2, the Corphish and then this bottom right Apom. So that's pretty weird. And now, even though a lot of time has passed in this game because I've been worrying about commentary, after 1 minute, so at the 9-minute mark, this Corphish will spawn, and you want to be there to take it, because it takes a while for all of the other Pokemon to spawn. So you fight for all these Pokemon, then kind of nothing happens for a while until the 9-minute mark. At 8 minutes and 50 seconds, that's when Vespiquen spawns, and this is where a big fight can break out. You might have junglers coming in, so it could be a 2v3, a 3v3, and then this is going to be one of your priority steals to go for. But it also gets pretty crazy because that's going to be spawning, and then 10 seconds later, you're going to have these spawn in this area. And if you're playing on the top side, these Corphish might be worth taking depending on like how the game is going, how much experience you're trying to get, where the meta is, and like just the overall playstyle. But as you're taking these right here will be respawning. And that means these Pokemon are going to be spawning around the 8-minute and 30-second mark. Now, don't fret if you're not getting everything immediately on spawn, but can kind of show how every game laning is going to be different, and then like desync timers is going to get even crazier as time goes on. But that's why the first couple minutes on the top side and the bottom side, because they have their own timings as well, are going to be pretty chaotic and have their own things going on. And at the 7-minute mark is when Rotom and Dreadnaught are going to spawn, and that's kind of like the end-ish of laning phase, depending on what's going on. There's a lot of wacky things that can happen inside the game, but that's when you might hear the term rotate. A rotation is moving from one lane to another, so it seems like I'm giving up or abandoning my lane, but it could be more important to help out your team and move or rotate into the other lane, because now I could be offsetting a fight. It could be a 3v2 or a 4v2 or a 4v3. It could be a lot of team madness going on over here, but something very important is that even as a top laner, keep your eye on Dreadnaught. Dreadnaught is much more important than Rotom, at least at the current state of the game right now. Dreadnaught gives a team-wide experience boost that's about a level, so even if like you're behind or if your allies are behind, securing Dreadnaught puts your whole team ahead and can offset any kind of disadvantage that happened in the first couple of minutes of the game. Now, bot lane is going to be similar, but there's going to be different Pokemon placements in different locations, and that's also where the game gets kind of weird. So instead of having a Corphish in the center to fight over, you have this Audino, and as you can see, the Audino is level 5. So we have a beefier Pokemon to fight over here, which is also why you might see more attackers or people try to assign some kind of meta to which Pokemon belong in which kind of lane. But this is where a fight can break out and be really interesting just immediately. Like what a lot of people do is they take the Apom, and then after the 4th Apom, they immediately try to fight over this Audino, even though because it's the odd number objective, but you can safely try to claim your own Audino over here, and they are kind of far away. So the fight isn't naturally going to flow into itself. You can, if you don't feel like you have a strong lane, or if you don't want to like risk the game too early on, then yeah, you can go for these Audino and kind of see what your opponent is up to. So once you take those, you can look up here and see if that Audino is taken or not. If it is, then that's just kind of how it is. But at least you're not falling too far behind, you're not overextending, you're not losing too hard. However, as the game gets more technical and people get a bit better understanding as to what's going on, if they're trying to greed and take the Audino top immediately, you can just move down here and try to steal this one away. Especially if you have a really strong Pokemon like the Cramorant, because Cramorant's damage is insane with a well-placed Whirlpool and an ally helping you out. So that means if they're trying to go for the top one to get the 3-2 Pokemon advantage, well, if I get this Audino and then I immediately fall back and take these Audino, now we're looking at a 3-2 advantage for me instead of them, even though they got the center Audino. Also look at some other things. Corphish, this is going to be another 1-minute spawn. Vespiquen, that becomes a spawn as well. However, I feel like these Corphish are a little more off the table because they're further away than the Vespiquen spawn. So this is where maybe you're going to have your jungler coming in. This is where a jungle fight could break out. So map awareness becomes a really good idea. But overall, that's just going to be like the early laning and just mostly just understanding what your opponents can do. There's like 3 different things that can happen. Very passive. Everyone just takes their side, then goes to the middle. But there's also the option that people rush for the middle, and then there's also the option that people try to steal and sneak away opposing side Pokemon. So now that we've got all that out of the way, I want to go and break down laning in an actual match. Now before we get into game, I do want to talk about some considerations. Please call your path. You hit ZL, and then you can go and show if you want to go top lane or bottom lane. At least that shows your intention, and then please stick to it. Sometimes I just see people, they show top path, and then they go bot, and then they're like stealing it from someone else, and then everything gets really weird and messy from there. Also, this ranked game already looks like an absolute joke, but we're going to do our best because I have a great ball ally, even though I'm veteran 5. This is why I can't get into Ultra, because the team is weird and I'm getting a lot of unskills, but let's just show off how the laning goes until you develop that later on. So now we're about to get into the game, and we can show off what to do. So I'm going to start off with my Whirlpool, and this can also show like how the experience breakdown goes. So I want to put it ahead of Apom, get that leash going, put in a lot of damage, and then personally as Cramorant, I want to like help soft leash this one for the Bulbasaur, get the Arrokuda in my mouth, and then proc on the Arrokuda, do all these hits, and then do some pretty good stuff like that. Now, boom, we got double level 3. This is because you split experience, but you can also get the last hit, and this is what I'm talking about on alt strats. So I proc my X attack, and I try to go for the steal there. It fails, but I still have my Whirlpool, which is very powerful, so I want to try to predict this Cramorant, secure it right there, and then get this Apom for myself. Bulbasaur is trying to go for a steal while I'm contesting the Corphish, and we just have like a lot of weird and crazy stuff going on with this lane. He's in trouble. I don't know if that was a steal or not, but we are much higher level than them, so it looks like we secured those away. And now I can just try to slow him down, hopefully get away, and we have a massive level advantage from stealing the Corphish and one of the Apom. They look like they're trying to get some experience back by making an early score, but my advice is do not worry about early scoring when you're first learning the game. We were a couple seconds behind because of like all the steals and all that madness and kind of overextending and over pushing, so Corphish we were a little behind on, but now we're already fighting for the Vespiquen. I'm going to pop another X attack to get that secure, and this is where the fights get weird and can potentially break out. Now with all that stuff going on, these are about to respawn. This Corphish is back on the table. And this is what I mean, like the game gets really fast and really active for the laning at those higher levels as you start to understand what is going on. I want to burst down this Cramorant, or not the Cramorant, the Corphish as fast as possible and then set up for all that experience. So Apom's back. We have a massive level advantage and we are still doing pretty well. Ninetales is going for a fight, but they're down, and since Slowpoke hasn't been getting last hits, he's also just going to die right there. Because he didn't even get a level up, he was really behind. Trying to set this up is where things get weird, and that's why I mean, don't risk it too much. Don't throw away the game by trying to get that early score. We were ahead, Ivysaur died. I tried to do my best, but there's so many cooldowns, and they just have shields and healing off of that. Yeah, it's really hard to contest. Some things that come up in laning is depending on your jungler's path. You can go and take this Corphish. I'm not like advertising to grief and like steal experience from your laners. Some junglers, they're upset about that. But as you can see, everyone went bot side. So I'm just taking experience that's still on the map that's not being claimed. By the time that Corphish respawns, everything will be kind of settled. So Slowbro, he's just kind of doing his thing. But again, it's really hard to contest some Pokemon under it. Maybe if you can if you find a sneak opportunity, go for it. But don't throw away the game on something like that. And now Zeraora, he's been jungling. Like I said, junglers, they tend to find a lot more experience. Zeraora is in a very broken state right now, so he's going to have a level advantage. And that's a 3v2. That's why I mean on the ganks. That's why I mean on not overextending. Ivysaur, he doesn't really seem like he knows what he's doing too much, so don't overcommit, don't overextend like that. We had a massive lead, kind of got thrown away like that. And now, this is what I mean, by 7 minutes, like, we're already this far into the game, and the laning is in a really weird state. Laning is kind of over, except for maybe trying to steal Rotom, but this is where we're at. And I say Dreadnaught is far more important. So, if we get that kill really quick, boom, that's just a slight advantage right there. Still haven't, like, now I'm worried about Zeraora, so I'm going to go and clean up these. And I'm rotating bot lane now, so I can make sure we get that Dreadnaught. They seem to be up, and since Zeraora's going down there, I can at least make it a 3v3 no matter what happens. So let's do that really quick, get that last little bit of experience to level 8. I have my X attack up, and now it's time for a big fight down here. And if I surprise them... Ooh, Mr. Mime, actually pretty strong right there, knocking me out of my Surf, but my team abandoned me, so... Again, you just can't do anything about team difference sometimes, like... Opponents will be better than your allies, and then people aren't going to understand what's going on. They saw me rotating, then they could have played around that. We get the kills there, and then Dreadnaught is secured. But looks like we can still have an opportunity to secure Dreadnaught. As what I mean, if you get those kills, do not score. Do not go for Vespiquen. Dreadnaught is 100% the most important thing to take in this situation. My teammates are bad, and they're effectively trolling and griefing me at this point by not going for the Dreadnaught, so don't do that. And even if you lose Rotom top, even if they score, even if you lose your goal Rotom top, this early Dreadnaught is more important than that. 100%. And it got stolen because no team. Lucario went top because he has poor prioritization, and this game is effectively over. It's not completely over. It's not in the worst state. Because, like, Zapdos is overtuned right now, and there could be another Dreadnought steal later on. There's a lot of problems going on. All Ivysaur had to do was be safe and defend, and you can 1v2 defend pretty easily without giving up too much. So this guy is kind of showing a lot of do's and don'ts as to what's going on. Do just try to keep an eye out on all the timings and optimizing experience. Don't overextend, don't overpush, don't overprioritize scoring in the early game, and then make sure you can get into that Dreadnought and you're not losing advantages that you're trying to build up. Be aware of the jungler, all those other things, but then sometimes your teammates are just going to be really bad and there's nothing you can do about it. And that's the power of Dreadnought. Slowbro went from being 2 levels down and under-evolved, and now he's on the same level as us, and he can 1v2 defend from the base. But now I can use my Unite move and just kind of take over a fight because everyone is just weird in this game. They overextended. Don't do what they did. Dreadnought isn't up for a while yet. We don't see the 30-second timer on the thing, and now we're effectively just transitioning into the late game. So yeah, this is middle game right now. After like the first Dreadnought Rotom, laning is effectively over, and you just need to kind of prioritize macroing, and macro is just major movements on the map. So we're thinking about the greater picture right now. See, Mr. Mom's getting caught out. He's not respecting my push, and top is doing okay on their own. So I want to try to get as much Eos energy as possible to get my Unite move back, and then we can use that to contest the Dreadnought. So that's another, like, big thing. I use my Unite move there to get kills and get back in experience, but it's not going to be up for the immediate Dreadnought spawn, so there's still going to be some weirdness and vulnerability in this game. Pikachu's recalling. If he goes straight bottom, that's good. If Mr. Mime stays top, that's trolling. And these people are just bad. Please share my video with everyone. That way, players on your team are not griefing and making the wrong decisions as frequently as is happening right now. Like, Zeraor's up there. Mr. Mime's, like, since I'm not doing anything, I'm wasting time because my team is playing inefficiently, and that's leading to a lot of really bad stuff. I don't know what happened down bot lane because I was top, so I don't know how much further ahead Mr. Mime and Lucario are. But considering Lucario's level 9, I think I got a kill there. And Mr. Mime or Pikachu's just hiding and trolling me and being low-leveled and missing out on Dreadnought. A lot of weird things are happening. So yeah, it just can't do much about people that don't understand the game. Do have my Unite move, but I can't use it for anything. I can't use it for this Dreadnought fight because Zapdos is much more important. So it's just going to be a sloppy, dirty fight where there might be a difference in team setups. Alright, we're getting kills. We're getting a lot of good stuff right here. Our Mr. Mime used his... No, stop! Okay, do not do that what they did. Do not push your advantage like that. 100%, we need to make sure that we get this Dreadnought right here, and we only have 5 seconds to do it. So if, like, Pikachu leaves there, it doesn't matter what he's scoring if we don't have enough damage for the Dreadnought. And look, he didn't even get a chance to score because after 5 minutes, they can just jump to that second goal for the pad. So now, we got Dreadnought, people are kind of caught up, kind of even though, like, the scoring is not in our favor super hard, but now this is what we gotta focus on, this is what you gotta worry about. Them taking it, our team not being aware. Zapdos is huge. Now we're also, like, kind of translating. This is outside of a laning guide. No. Alright, this is where they troll and where they lose the game to my Unite move because I saved it. If we had our team here, that's a Zapdos take. But now, because our team is trolling, or at least my team is trolling, Lucario comes up, gets the revenge kills on us, or Zapdos resets, and then Zeraora comes back up. This is ranked. This is Veteran 5. It's a complete joke. Fortunately, Lucario does not have the strongest Unite move, but now, see, their Mr. Mime still has theirs because it wasn't wasted at Dreadnought. Zeraora is about to show up and wipe our entire team, and I don't know what Venusaur's doing, but do not only focus on Zapdos. Like, after that 2-minute warning, the only thing that matters is posturing around Zapdos. Our Lucario's trying his best, but again, we're at, like, a massive disadvantage in Unite moves and push because Venusaur has no idea what he's doing. It all comes down to this, really. Like, whoever gets Zapdos is 100% going to win. Venusaur doesn't care. Lucario doesn't care. My entire goal right now is not even, like, attacking enemies. It's not dying to them. And either... Ooh, I don't know. Like, the fight's weird. Like, okay, cool. That Mr. Mime's backdooring. That Mr. Mime's trolling. If we get Zapdos right here, those 100 points from Mr. Mime do not matter. This is the most scuffed game ever. So I'm going to go, yeah, Mr. Mime do his thing, Pikachu do that thing. Try to pay attention to what your opponents are doing. Yeah, good right there. I get goal. That's how we come back and win it. So, welcome to Pokemon Unite.
Time's up. You win.
Nice. So yeah, that's how you lane. Those are what my Pokemon Unite games have been looking like, and even though that was a top lane focused game, if you go bottom lane, your biggest goal is to not fall behind and lose super hard. If you have to give up Audino, do it. Don't die, because you are the rock that holds the game on Dreadnaught. So don't make it to where if like someone rotates your jungle comes that you're not too far behind to where it's impossible. And then again, don't focus Vespiquen, don't go for goal scoring when you get a kill. Even if that goal is up, no, Dreadnaught's the only thing that matters, okay? There you go, win more games. Hope you guys enjoy the video, hope you all have a nice day. Thank you very much for watching.